So, welcome to the CCSNH, or Community College System in New Hampshire, that is, the COVID Diaries project. This is where people from all over New Hampshire can share their stories about how the pandemic has affected their lives. I'm Rosie Johnson of River Valley Community College conducting this interview. Would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Ruth Cioffredi. I'm an occupational therapist, and I work at Cioffredi and Associates Physical Therapy Clinic in Lebanon, New Hampshire.
All right. So, what's your story? How has the pandemic affected your life?
Well, it has certainly impacted our life. Professionally, we actually chose to temporarily close our clinic out of an abundance of caution sooner than what other facilities had done in the Upper Valley. And we quickly learned how to do telehealth within a week. And within 6 weeks, we were having our physical therapist start to gradually return to our clinic to practice. We found that in order to abide by, COVID guidelines and things, we also really went above and beyond what the social distancing was and things like that. We realized that we needed to increase our space as well as hire additional physical therapists to get back to what our pre-COVID level of production was. And fortunately, we were able to lease some space that was below us in our building, and we increased our physical layout by 60%. And instead of having clients be treated in the common gym area, which occurred pre-COVID, every client is pretty much seen in just a private, oversized private treatment room. Occasionally they go out into the gym, but that's not often. And the other thing that we did was we had a product that was sort of sprayed on all of our surfaces in all of our buildings that helps to kill actually viruses, including the COVID virus. And we have high cathedral ceilings. We have windows in each treatment room, so there's lots of ventilation and things. So
Do you leave the windows open?
We do leave them a little bit open, and we tell people, dress in layers, and our clinicians dress in layers. It's a little chilly.
That's got to up your heating costs quite a bit.
Yeah, it does. But it's really what we really wanted to do was have everybody, our clients as well as our staff, feel comfortable in our work environment, as well as our community to feel comfortable with what we're doing.
Sure.
And actually that's something that we hear frequently when patients come in, and we have a screening of questions that they have to answer each time they come in. And, have you been exposed, or have you traveled outside of New Hampshire? And we have just outside of New Hampshire and Vermont. And quite often their response is, no, the only place I go to is home and your clinic. And so I think that that's really been kind of neat. So that's at work, which has happened, and it's been exciting just to see us continuing to grow. And we developed actually a sports performance program that we didn't have before. So it's
of course, now that there's few sports happening.
I know. And, and that's also just a real dilemma, because, there are some high school or college or just master level athletes who still want to work on their skills, but haven't been able to have that opportunity as much. And so there's this personalized one-on-one training to help them do things here in the clinic, but then
keep themselves in shape in practice.
Exactly. And then transfer it to home.
Cool.
Yeah. And at home, I mean, I know that there's that social isolation that many people have talked about, but from from our perspective, it was really quite unique. We do have 4 kids, and 2 of them were living at home during the time that COVID hit in March.
Mhm.
And then our oldest daughter, who lives in Boston, and she's an ELL teacher, her school went remote. So she came and she stayed with us. So we had 5 people living at home from March until probably the end of June. And it actually, we didn't feel lonely at all. And we had game nights, and we always have a Sunday pasta dinner. And so it actually was delightful, and we all got along.
Lucky.
I know it is. We all felt very fortunate because the walls in our house aren't the biggest. So it could have gotten pretty.
You don't have to deal with 6.5-foot ceilings, do you?
6.5-foot ceilings. We probably have taller, maybe.
That's what we've got here in our house.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It sucks.
Ooh, that really must feel compressed. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're doing better than I am.
Well, it's all relative, Rosie. But since then, all of our kids have now gone, they're in their own locations. And Billy and I will go for socially distant walks with our daughter who lives in Hanover. But, and we occasionally see our Boston daughter, but that's been it. So it does feel, we're feeling it more, but not to the same extent as I think some folks.
Yep. Are you in the clinic right now? The window frame looks kind of familiar.
Yes, I am. Billy and I drove in today using my car because I have studded snow tires.
Ah, yes.
And he's in his office and he's dictating. So I thought that, and we've been doing a lot of telehealth today as a result of the storm. Between some of our therapists live far away, and then patients didn't want to come in. So I just grabbed an empty treatment room and I've taken over.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to share?
Well, it's certainly, this experience has really also from a work perspective changed our method of efficiency. And we were doing a lot of things online, but because we're limited, like at the hospital, limited in terms of going there and making deliveries in terms of patient notes and things, which is something that we used to do. We're just sending them by fax. So it's reduced actually the number of support staff in some areas of administration.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But we've also
great for efficiency, not so great for the support staff themselves.
No, however, the flip side is we hired 5 more physical therapists within 4 months. So I guess we still actually have more employees than we did pre-COVID, but it's weighted more towards the physical therapists versus support staff. So we're still helping the economy with wage earners and things, but it's just with just a different shift in that. Yeah. So that's been good. And it's also one of my strengths has always been I'm an organized and detailed person.
Like my mom. Well, yes. The organized part anyway.
Yes. Yeah. And this pandemic had really tapped into those skill sets of mine, especially because with us being a small private practice, we weren't eligible for the PPE like at Dartmouth for the masks and the gloves and things. And so we had to use our own, independent physical therapy medical supply stores, which we did. But then
they ran out, didn't they?
Pardon me?
They ran out, didn't they?
Yes. That, as well as they would limit you to maybe 2 boxes of gloves. And, there's just 25, and initially we were having each therapist wear a new pair of gloves each time they saw a client.
Mm.
And then we,
That's going to go through them fast.
Yeah, definitely. And then as the whole world learned more about COVID and how it's the method of transmission and things, our therapists still wear gloves if either they feel more comfortable doing that or if patients feel more comfortable, but it's not necessarily a have to.
Right, because it's more of an airborne virus than a physical contact.
Exactly.
So the mask is more important than the gloves.
Right. It is. And so that was a bit of a challenge, and just buying Purell, hand sanitizer, and that was out.
Even the gas stations are selling in that now.
Yeah.
Like the Irving by X18, they've got a whole display of cleaning supplies.
Yeah,
crazy.
They've really been able to, the demand or the supply has been able to catch up with what the demand is. And so now there's really no concern about you're going to run out of Clorox wipes or anything. But for the longest time, I was twice a week going in the Upper Valley trying to search for, Clorox wipes and Purell and rubbing alcohol, because we do dry needling at the clinic, and you need to have rubbing alcohol to put over the skin before you use the needle to help in releasing trigger points. So there was just lots of scouting that I would do, and I described it as I was on my mission because it didn't feel like an adventure.
Yeah. Somehow such things never do.
I know, but it really has been, it's been quite a process. And we actually, our physical therapists are now treating our patients on a 40-minute basis, whereas before COVID, they would do 30 minutes and they would dovetail in the sense of having them stay maybe 10 or 15 minutes longer, working on exercises in the gym while they started working with another client.
Yeah, I remember I was a patient there once.
Right, that's right. I forgot about that. And when you mentioned about the frame, it's like, oh, and
I've been there.
Yep, that's right. I totally forgot. But now our therapists see people for 40 minutes and then, it's
next.
It's really kind of, it's more one-on-one for sure. And a longer time period. And I think patients feel better about, well, I don't know if they feel better, but the therapists certainly do. And I don't think that our therapists will ever go back to 30-minute treatment sessions with
overlap.
And the overlap and kind of doing some more exercises in the gym. I think that's gone.
Good. I that was my least favorite part of being a client there. Like, if I wanted to do exercise, I would have gone to a normal gym.
Right. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's helpful if just to ensure that people are, they have the right technique and.
Yeah, it makes sense why they would do it.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it.
Yeah. I know. I would do it in the gym just because then I knew I had done it and I could kind of close that chapter and move on with my day, because for me, I would start off with these very good intentions of, yep, I'm going to do my exercises. And by the time I'd get home from work in the evening, just, I'm tired, or there'd be whatever excuse it is. It's a Tuesday afternoon, who knows, but yeah. So that's what's happened for me with COVID. I'm trying to think, becoming more proficient. Well, no, not proficient, but
efficient.
Zoom and things like that. I'm not proficient with that, but I know where to click the button if someone invites me.
Yeah, I had to learn how to set up Zoom meetings for this project.
I bet. And I think for a lot of people, it's really tapped into other areas, like you making the Christmas pageant on the video.
Yeah, I like that software. I've used it for other things since the video
Wow.
editing.
Yeah. I mean, it was just so creative and so clever. But
It
I
wasn't
think
my
that,
idea.
well, but you were the one who, I don't know what you were the editor, you were
I
the,
compiled the clips.
yeah, I don't know what you call that, but you
Editor
did that.
works.
Editor, okay. And certainly in other areas, whether it's in my volunteer aspect or just work, um, that area of technology, and I mean, it's not even super, what I'm trying to do is super sophisticated, but I just, I don't have that. I'm still paper and pen, and that part I've really struggled with, but I think that's going to be an ongoing process for me.
It's a learning process. It's definitely I don't know all the ins and outs of what Zoom can do, but I'm working with it.
Yeah, yeah, which is great, Rosie, because for me, I just find all that kind of technology, I just get overwhelmed by it. And I'm
Hmm.
afraid if I push a wrong button, then all my work will
Well, if it
evaporate.
makes you feel any better, even my dad has trouble with it sometimes. He was doing you no, you weren't there. But this past Sunday he was doing the church Zoom. He tried to screen share a video for him, and somehow when messing with I think the bar at the bottom of the screen, he accidentally got kicked out of the meeting.
He actually what?
Accidentally got himself kicked out of the meeting.
Oh no. Wow.
Well, we got it fixed. Thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, you're